So I want to take a look at what Greg Jennings had to say after the Packers game, and he goes a little bit more into depth about Jordan Love as well, which I found interesting. So I just want to share these short quotes from Jennings. This is on First Things First a little bit earlier last week. And starting off, Chris Broussard ends his talk saying that he believes that Jordan Love was the biggest problem, and that's where Greg Jennings starts. He says, yeah, absolutely. It was the turnovers, penalties, injuries. Essentially, when you look at this game, Jordan Love, as you're mentioning, was a part of those turnovers. After that opening fumble, you as a quarterback, you got to take it on. You got to take the shoulder, the pressure on you, and start to make plays immediately and be efficient. That first possession that they finally get, they go 3 and out. Then you on your second possession on the first play, you lose your best offensive lineman. Now you're getting all these holding penalties. On your third possession, Jordan Love throws the interception, and it's just spiraled out of control, and he never settled then offensively. It was as if Josh Jacobs was trying to, but Jordan Love was fighting him, and when you have had the success that he's had last year leading into the postseason, and then the postseason run that he did have, and it ended the way that it did this year, I was always questioning, and I put him on the bud list a couple of times, questioning whether he could be consistently disciplined. And I'll stop there for a second. But I think that had been my question, or at least my question now for Jordan Love is, can he become a consistent quarterback? I think we saw at the end of his first season starting that it really looked to me like he had sort of reached that consistency level. And for 8 or 9 weeks, he played top-tier football, plays top-tier football against the Cowboys. Then he plays the Niners, has 2 interceptions, one really bad interception near the end of the game. And so then coming into his second season starting, I thought, okay, he proved to be pretty consistent. It looked like maybe that decision at the end of the Niners game, you don't want to see it. You hope that he cleans it up, but it seemed like that was sort of one of the mistakes that, at least at the end of his first year starting, didn't seem like it was something that would really carry with him moving forward. And then to start the year in 2024, he's really inconsistent with interceptions, cleans it up the final 8 or 9 games, and then in the biggest game of the year, he throws 3 picks. And so I think still now after 2 seasons, I do agree with Greg Jennings that the question for him is, can he be consistently disciplined? Because he can have stretches of it, but then come playoff time, he has a really tough game. And so that's the big question going forward. And then here he ends it off. He says, and I know we were excited about some of the games that he had later on in this season against Seattle. And did you see Jordan Love? Did you see the Green Bay Packers? But there was always something about Jordan Love throwing errant passes, saying what we saw in that game. He is a concern moving forward. I think he is the answer, yeah, but he has to reel it in and become more disciplined, more mature with the football. And if you guys had seen my video that I put out recently saying I'm a little bit worried about Jordan Love, I think that I agree with Greg Jennings here that, some of his game is a concern. He said he has a concern moving forward. I guess you could sort of debate on how much of a concern. But when you do go 0-6 against the Lions, the Vikings, and the Eagles, Lions and Vikings, who also couldn't win a first, round playoff or their first playoff game of the season, when you just struggle against some of those top tier teams, and then you have the play that Jordan Love had in his final game, it does concern you a little bit, because that's not really what you want to see from the guy you paid $55 million per year. And that's not to say he's going to be that guy going forward. I think that he has a ton of talent, a ton of ability. He can be the best quarterback in the NFL. I think he has that ability inside him with all the talent that he has. But the question is, as Greg Jennings says, can he reel it in? Can he make those disciplined plays time and time again? And I think one player that I thought of as I was reading through this is Lamar Jackson. He's played really, really great elite football in the regular season, better than pretty much most quarterbacks. And then come playoff time, he just has not been the same quarterback. He's a passer rating around 82 in the playoffs and closer to 102 in the regular season. And that's the reason I think the Ravens lost their game the other day, was because he has that pick that was pretty uncharacteristic of himself throughout the whole season, where he had like less than 5 interceptions. And then he also has a fumble, and it was his first multi-turnover game since the last time he lost a playoff game a year prior. All season long, he didn't have 2 turnovers. And one of the biggest games of the year, Lamar Jackson has 2 turnovers. And it just reminds me of Jordan Love a little bit, because for Love's the final 7, 8, 9 games, he doesn't throw a pick. And then he throws 3 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Could have been 4. And so that's really what you need. Like when you're trying to get a quarterback who can be consistent come playoff time, a quarterback who can really take you to the Super Bowl, what you need, at least for one season, one playoff run, is for your quarterback to play very consistent football, because we're seeing with a lot of these other quarterbacks that when it comes playoff time, the level of teams you're playing, if you have one bad game where you throw 2 interceptions, 3 interceptions, where you fumble a ball, whatever it is, it's going to be really hard to get to the Super Bowl. And so I think that's my concern with Jordan Love, is that consistency. And do I think he can become consistent? I think so. I think we see stretches of it, but at the end of the day, if Jordan Love is going to have some of these days like he did against the Eagles in some of the biggest moments, and if he's also not going to be able to beat some of these best teams, as this past year the Packers had trouble with, it's going to be tough to get to a Super Bowl. So there's definitely a lot to improve, a lot of great things that Jordan Love does, but come playoff time, you have to be consistently one of the best. That's something that Patrick Mahomes does great. He is pretty much the definition of consistency come playoff time. There's a reason that he's won multiple Super Bowls and has a chance to three-peat this year, is because he is one of the most consistent quarterbacks in the NFL. And in close games, there's not many people better than him. So hopefully we will see that from Jordan Love. Hopefully we will see some improvements heading into his third year starting. If you want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.